There are two kinds of people in this world. The people who fail to do what they know they should, and those who keep doing things they know they shouldn't. Guess what? You're both. Hi, I'm your host, life and business coach, Marcy Barker, aka your loving kick in the pants. In this podcast, I'll teach you the 6 steps of my accountability code that will help you wake up with clarity and show up with aligned action steps that make follow through easy and peaceful. All right, let's jump in.
Hello, my beautiful people. I am really blessed. I'm just going to start out by saying that. I realized I've had a hard time expressing how blessed I am because I never want to come across as like cocky or better than anybody. And I know that some people get triggered when their life is not going as well as somebody else's. And I'm not saying my entire life is going perfectly. Trust me, I cried last week because I cut my hair off. So sometimes it's just up and down. But the reason I started out this podcast episode with saying I'm blessed is because I just had one of my group calls for my accountability program. And it has been so amazing witnessing other people learning how to become more accountable to themselves and their own personal journey. And one of my clients, okay, she's super busy. I hope she's going to be on the podcast soon. She's very busy because she runs a dance school, a dance studio. It is massive. Like she's had a lot of her students just win competitions. I want to say clients, but no, they're dance students and they've gone to competition nationals, and she had almost her entire class hit like top ranks. Anyway, and she's a mom. She's raising little kids. She hires a babysitter to come and help her out so she can work. And as we've been going through the Accountability Code coaching program, what I'm doing is helping each client build their own personal accountability code so that after the program is over, they have their own very specific way of tackling their challenges and being accountable to what really matters to them. And so she's just been so busy with all of her dance competitions that she got on the group call. She's like, I'm not really even sure that I'm doing this right, but I'm like, can you look at my work so far and tell me if I'm on the right track? And I looked at her notes. We have this big spreadsheet that we keep track of all of our progress and our different goals and our commitment items and things like that. And for reflection, she had written down that her reflection happens in the car because she's driving a lot and her schedule of her kids is always changing. And so one constant in her life is her constant time in the car. And she's like, I'm not even sure if that's like right or not. And so I said, let's talk about it. The very first thing, as you're listening to this, I want you to recognize that this is applicable to you too. If you have ever done something and you're like, I'm not really sure if I'm doing it right or not, I want you to ask yourself what voices or expectations are making you think that you're not doing it right. So like for reflection, my client, is she thinking like this reflection isn't working because I'm not super focused because my kids are crazy? Or is she like, this reflection's not working because I'm in my car and I've never heard of anybody else doing their reflection in their car? So when we were talking about this, I told her that whatever she can do right now in this moment is good enough. Like if I told her, hey, your reflection doesn't count because you're in your car, or your reflection doesn't count because you're not meditating, or your reflection doesn't count because it's not long enough, like how sucky would that be if I just told somebody like, hey, you're not doing it right? I firmly believe and know that being accountable is doing your very best in the moment and being willing to step it up when the time comes for you to step it up.
Hey listeners, the message of waking up and showing up is yours for the taking. In fact, it's free. I've recorded my entire audiobook and I'd love for you to consume it between episodes. Head to marcybarker.com to get instant access to the accountability code Wake Up and Show Up. All right, let's jump back in.
And so I told her that she's got to ask herself what expectations or voices are making her feel this way. Because if it's herself, then okay, yeah, it's time to step it up a little bit. If the expectations are coming from herself, then yes, it's time to step it up. But if those expectations are coming from somebody else, then it's like, nope, sorry, we don't have to listen to those voices. We can just do exactly as we're doing right now. So I talked about with her, if she's getting those nudges of like, I know I can be better at this thing, then it's time to switch it up a little bit. So let's say that you're just like my client and you're having a hard time finding or creating quiet time to reflect on your day, not just for what's happening, but like what you want to happen in the future pertaining to your goals. Let's say that you're busy and you can't fathom anything more than just the reflection you're getting in the car. Now, I told her, here are some different suggestions, and of course, take them or leave them. But some things that I've done as I was in that stage of life with tiny kids and feeling like I was always in the car was, number one, you can tell your kids like, hey, I'm in this program and my coach told me I have to reflect. Like, can we sit here for a second? And, we're going to set the timer for 30 seconds. And after 30 seconds is over, tell me what you thought about. Or it can be, hey kids, I'm going to put on this special music because I want to be more calm. And that can be a way of improving her reflection. Another thing could be, hey kids, we just got to our destination. Let's decide how we want this to go. Whether it's grocery shopping or going to grandma's house, a babysitter, whatever. If you can verbalize how your reflection is going, you're not only bringing more awareness to the situation, but you're also training the people around you to support your habit. As we were filling out this spreadsheet and defining what each person's step looks like for their personal accountability code, it was really cool for my client to just have this level of stress that melted away because she released expectations that made her feel like she wasn't doing good enough. And one thing that I've told my clients in this program is that one of my goals for everybody in the program is to feel peace as often as possible. Because when you create a space for you to be calm and relaxed, oh my, you guys, you make better choices. Like, I can't tell you how many choices I have made out of being impulsive or frustrated or feeling desperate or behind. Like, reflection is the very first step in becoming aware of what's going on right now. So it was just really cool as we were going through the different steps today, how people were able to own more of their behavior and own more of their goals and own more of the process that they're going through right now. So we are on week 3 of the program. And by the time you hear this, we're obviously going to be further along, but each week in the program, we've been focusing on, okay, what does my personal code look like for each step? So reflection, humility, planning, implementing, commitment, and feedback. So if you guys have not yet, I've probably said this a million times, write down the steps of the code. There's no way you can master the code if you don't even know what the steps are. So for reflection, write down, like, how do you reflect right now? I realized in the past couple of weeks as I've been working on my goal, my reflection can be pretty scattered. My floor goal for these 8 weeks is to say my prayers both in the morning and in the evening. And as I've been way more consistent than I ever have, I'm like, oh, my prayers are kind of scattered. Like, I'm very good at having a conversation in person, but when I'm talking in my head, I'm like, oh man, I can't even finish a sentence. So part of my reflection is going to be saying my prayers out loud. Or I even told my clients today, I was like, maybe I need to pray with my eyes open, which seems very silly. I'm not sure how you pray, but I was always taught that you fold your arms and close your eyes, and closing my eyes is not helping me out. So I'm going to consider switching that so I can be more deliberate with my reflection and my prayers. So as you're listening to this, I encourage you, get a piece of paper, open up your notes on your phone and write down the steps of the code, they are reflection, humility, planning, implementing, commitment, and feedback. And every time you pull up an episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants, you'll be able to get a more clear picture on what your personal code looks like for you. And of course, if you have not yet, you can grab my audiobook. It's for free, and even the ebook comes with it. And also, I've told you a million times, you can book a call with me and we can go through the accountability code personally to give you a nice head start on what your next goal is. And then, of course, I always have different programs coming up. We're in the middle of my 8-week program, so registration is closed, but I do these programs a couple times a year. So I'm always here for you. I'm always here to offer you some motivation and logical, practical ways for you to become more accountable. But I'm a loving kick in the pants. I'm not a push or pull or drag sort of coach. So you got to give me 1%. Let me know how you're doing and I can support you the rest of the way. So I hope that this podcast was beneficial and opened up your level of awareness, even just for a little bit. So I'm here to support you, and I want the best for you. And I will see you next week for another episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants.
Hey friends, I want to thank you for listening to this episode of Your Loving Kick in the Pants. If you got any value out of this episode, I would love for you to drop me a review or share with a friend what you learned. All right, I'll see you next Wednesday for Your Loving Kick in the Pants.